Today on the news and why it matters, we have the State of the Union breakdown. You are not going to want to miss it. Also, the impeachment vote and Mitt Romney. He is apparently going to vote to convict President Trump. We've got a lot of analysis coming up. You're not going to want to miss it. It starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez today, joined by conservative commentator Grant Stinchfield, back in the house. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here.
We have got Jason Buttrell, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program. This is like 3 times in a row for you this week.
Record. I know. You're welcome.
Who keeps booking this guy? Come on, I got to get him on the phone. Also back is filmmaker and pretty much jack of all trades, Jakub Bujans.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We've got a lot to get into. First, we would like to thank our sponsor, NetSuite. So, I know, Grant, I know you're an entrepreneur. Yeah. We've talked about this before. We've talked about NetSuite. As an entrepreneur, you have to know your numbers.
You have to know your numbers. If you don't, you're not going to be much of an entrepreneur for long.
Your business is not going to do what we call succeed. It's just going to crash and burn. So if you don't know your numbers, it's probably because you've got a whole bunch of different software systems that are not working together and they're not efficient. So, you go to one spot for your HR, you go to one spot for your accounting, you go to one spot for your sales, and you're really not getting a good picture of how everything is working together so that you can profit in the best way possible. That is where NetSuite by Oracle comes in. NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud business system. They offer a complete picture of all of your business, all in one place, all in real time. They've got finance, inventory, HR, and customers. There's no more guessing with NetSuite, no more worrying. It is available on the cloud, so all of the information you need is always available at your fingertips, no matter if you're out at a sales call, no matter if you're in the office. You can get it on your phone, you can get it on your desktop, you can get it wherever you are. Join companies like Ring, Hint, Boll & Branch, over 19,000 others that use Oracle by NetSuite. You can schedule your free product tour right now and receive their free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits. Go to netsuite.com/why. Set up a free product tour. Get your free guide today. All you have to do, if you love money, all right, that's all I'm saying, is go to netsuite.com/why. That is netsuite.com/why. So President Trump obviously gave the State of the Union address last night to a very raucous Republican Party and a very disenfranchised Democrat Party. We have some clips, obviously, to get into, give a little bit more, input on these particular specific situations, but want to go around the table really quickly and ask you guys, what was your overall summary of how you thought the State of the Union went? Grant, I'll go first with you.
I used one word to describe the Democrats. It was horrible. Mm-hmm. When you cannot clap for fighting jihad, putting murderers in jail, a booming economy, people back to work, minorities back to work, the list goes on and on and on, soldiers home. Mm-hmm. They could not clap. They looked horrible, they looked petty, and worst of all is they really looked un-American.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jason, what were your thoughts?
It was a great speech. I mirror what Grant just said as well. I think it shows how out of step and how completely lost the Democrats are on how to connect with their voters. They have no clue. They've been doing this whole identity politics thing, hoping that would score them some points. But now, they're losing black voters by the truckload. And Van Jones was on CNN, was like, guys, wake up. Like, they're the only ones reaching out to the black community. They're talking about helping them out economically, putting them in schools. What are you guys doing? Mm-hmm. Nothing. And that was on full display last night.
Yeah. Jakub, what did you think?
Yeah, look, I think here you see again party above country, right? Yeah. It's rhetoric above country. The American people do not matter to this party at all. You cannot stand up for Rush Limbaugh. I don't care if it's your neighbor next door, a guy who's being honored for cancer, a father coming home real live on television. So you saw again and again, and we're going to see it more this year, is they're just going to show their true colors. But the best State of the Union since I immigrated to this country in 2001. It was fantastic.
Speaking of Rush Limbaugh, that's a good point. Like when Ruth Bader Ginsburg was having her medical problems, I didn't see anybody on the right like take a victory lap on any of that. Never. In fact, we've all been public about, oh my gosh, I hope she's okay. That's horrible. She's on the Supreme Court. Whether you agree with her politics or not, she's had a very successful political career.
She was a pioneer.
And pioneer and influential. And we can all say this is a very tragic thing. And at one point, she should probably be awarded for what she has accomplished for her side.
Yeah, it's a fellow American.
Right. Now look at them and look at what's her AOC talking about Rush Limbaugh like that. I mean, come on. The difference between the two sides right now is so obvious.
Yeah. So I want to just try to take this in order as best I can from what happened last night. So President Trump gets there. He walks, obviously, it's a very long walk up to the podium, and he hands a copy of the speech to both Pence and Pelosi. Everyone's talking about the controversial, as you guys are watching right now. Did he see Nancy Pelosi reaching out her hand to give him a handshake? And he obviously turned the other way. Of course, you're going to hear the typical from the left. They're going to say he snubbed her. It was very disrespectful, probably sexist as well. From the right, they're going to say he didn't see her. I really think if you back it up and look in slow motion, there's enough there to make you can't really tell. He very well, I think, could have not seen her. And he didn't shake Pence's hand either. For the record. Right. Grant, what do you think? Did he see her or did he not?
I'm watching it again. You know, I've watched this over and over again. It's hard to really tell whether he saw her or not. I don't think he saw her. If he snubbed her, I'm glad he did now after the ripping up of his speech, nonsense that she did. I don't think President Trump is going to set out to snub Nancy Pelosi like that. So in the end, my guess is that he didn't see her.
Yeah. Jason, what do you think?
It wouldn't surprise me if he did and said screw her and just didn't do it. It would not surprise me at all. And she would definitely deserve it, I think. Right. The attacks that this man has gotten from that side. I would want to punch her straight in the throat. Actually, she extends her hand and you just give her a really quick one. That's what his feelings would want. Now, that being said, I do like the fact that within the Senate or within the House, more so in the Senate, that there are some gentleman rules that are followed. Mm-hmm. So even though my emotions say that she deserved it, if he did see her, I don't really condone that type of behavior.
Well, she didn't follow the gentleman rules when it came to
the protocol
of announcing him.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, Yaku.
Yeah, I think a couple things. Just think about it from this perspective. The fact that she thought he would shake her hand, and almost like it's a setup almost, right?
I would agree with that.
This is where we need the NFL play-by-play, the different camera angles. Did he cut his eyes to the left? Did he not see? We can have fun with this too, right?
Yeah.
Tongue in cheek. I don't think there was any intentional, display from him. I don't think he saw her. But remember where the man is standing. The fact that he did the State of the Union on the heels of what she just did to him and drug him through, that alone.
You raised a good point, though. Maybe it was a setup. Mm-hmm. Maybe she knew exactly to stick her hand out just as he's turning away and make it look like he didn't shake her hand.
Especially because, I
don't put anything over her
he
hand.
Didn't shake Pence's hand, right? No. So it was not something that he was going to do to begin with anyway. Why not make that little extra, let's set him up, and then he looks like the jerk, and I come off looking like an angel.
And we've seen at least circumstantial evidence that a lot of this was staged. And we were talking about this before we went on. But there is a video now that I retweeted earlier. But you can clearly see before, right after the Pence and her get the copies of the script, he turns around. He hasn't started. There's applause still going. She takes the script out, pulls it down below the desk, practices to see if she can tear it, then puts it back on the table.
What a crazy
Before she even heard it or saw any of the content within it, that was the plan.
This is why I think the handshake was kind of almost, let me set him up. Remember Baker Mayfield kind of sort of shook a hand in a coin toss and everybody gave him such a hard time. Didn't he? Look, he didn't shake Pence's hand. So it's not like, hey, Mike, thank you. Not shaking your hand. No, he handed it over and turned. I wouldn't be surprised if she was testing him.
Right.
Like if he shook it, she'd go, dang it, he shook my hand.
Yeah.
Almost wanting him not to shake.
Right. So, we talked about the Democrats clearly sitting during what should be a very uniting speech. Here is President Trump talking about how great the economy is. We're looking at historical record low unemployment numbers for minorities, and Democrats, for women even, the Democrats not impressed, can't clap, can't get up out of their seats to bother clapping for the state of our union, which is apparently really good. Watch.
The unemployment rate is the lowest in over half a century. And very incredibly, the average unemployment rate under my administration is lower than any administration in the history of our country. If we hadn't reversed the failed economic policies of the previous administration, the world would not now be witnessing this great economic success. The unemployment rate for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans has reached the lowest levels in history. African American youth unemployment has reached an all-time low. African American poverty has declined to the lowest rate ever recorded. The unemployment rate for women reached the lowest level in almost 70 years, and last year women filled 72% of all new jobs added.
Hey, that's a reason to stand and clap. Oh, no. No, they just sat there because apparently Democrats really hate minorities working and women getting jobs.
Do you know what I wish the president would have done?
What?
I wish he would have stopped in the middle of his speech, gone off script, as he's so good at doing, and saying, I want the American people to look at this. I'm talking about indisputable facts, economic numbers here. They cannot stand when we talk about unemployment for minorities. You got all of these women dressed in white, supposedly supporting whatever. They cannot stand.
You get Democrats in white suits. That's typically not a good thing in history.
Point out the obvious. What have we come to as a nation where they cannot even support American success? If he would have stopped in the middle of his speech and done that, I think everyone at home would have had an awakening moment to see the difference between the two parties and how petty one side is and how strong the other side just wants America to be great.
Yeah. Do you think, Jason, do you think Americans saw that anyway?
Yeah, I do. I think you're seeing it, like we've seen, with like the BlazeTV movement. You've seen groups that have come out and been. It's almost like they've just had this awakening, like holy crap, we've been lied to by this party for so long, and now I'm not going to accept the fact that I have to be pigeonholed just because they say so. I think that's coming through. The majority of people, and I've seen even on other campaigns, like some Democrats that aren't as hardcore, like Yang and some other people. They're like, look, you're trying to take people's choices away. Go to some of these poor neighborhoods. They'll say, give me the money. Don't try to force something on me and take away all my choice. But I think the vast majority of people right now are saying, you're telling me things are so crazy, that this guy is a fascist and dictator and all this stuff, even though there's shown no tendencies to that. But why are you saying socialism when everything's kind of cool right now? Why are you trying to upend everything when we have money? Things are trending up. We just saw, I think, what was that today, that the jobs report came out.
It's about them, not us. It's about their power, not our power.
It's not about the people.
That was another thing they would not clap for, and it was so obvious. They wouldn't clap for a record amounts of people coming off of welfare.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I tweeted that earlier, no kidding, because they want people on welfare.
That's how they buy their votes.
That's how and that builds the machine they're on. That's how they get their power.
Yeah.
And we just saw Turning Point release this amazing video, Benny Johnson on Cuba. They did this expose on Cuba, right?
Yes.
And what socialism really looks like. And it's almost like they're hoodwinking the American people, going, no, you really need us. He's telling you don't, but you really need us. You want to stay on food stamps. Trust me, you can't actually survive without us. They won't stand for that. Look, last night was so powerful. He said something last night that nobody talked about. He was talking about excitement. Let me tell you, something happened last night. There is an excitement. I'm telling you, in this country, it's bubbling. I looked at Attorney General Barr last night, and that guy had the most fun in the room. He was actually enjoying it because he knows it's victory after victory. How many records were set last night? The best ever, right? The American people are not stupid. They rose in 16, they're going to rise again. I'm telling you, you're seeing through the sham, and I'm with you. There's an exodus of Black Americans from that party, and they are, I think it's too late for them. I don't think they can turn it fast enough, because they're saying, wait a minute, my dad didn't work for 7 years straight, now he's working.
I hope you guys
They're seeing it. It's real life experience
it's
with
tangible
them. It's right.
results,
It's not.
right?
They don't have to listen to the Democrats telling them that they can't, that they're not believing. Don't believe your own eyes. They're seeing it.
I hope you guys are right, because clearly you expected from the left-wing announcers on MSNBC and CNN to just totally destroy his speech, and they did that. As soon as it was over,
MSNBC
they
called it
came out
dark
and
and
did it.
bizarre.
And Chris Matthews called him a racist,
Right.
and they went down that road as well. This was a unifying speech. It was in many respects a bipartisan speech, except about socialism. He called out socialism. We're America. Why wouldn't you? But my biggest fear is that there are still those on the left. The disconnect, it is like a mental disorder, that the disconnect, they cannot see it. And I do not understand why they can't see it. And I wonder if you went to an everyday Democrat and said, was that a good speech? If their friends weren't around, would they tell you, yes, it was a good speech? I hope they would. I don't know how you don't, but my biggest fear is that they just still do not see it.
But you know what? It's not for me. It's not good enough for you to tell me it wasn't a good speech. Tell me why, and they can never give you substance.
Yeah.
Why do you support abortion? Why should he be impeached? I don't know. Right? Look what he did last night. He honors a Black American soldier 100 years old, and makes him a general. A young girl on live TV gets a grant, school of choice. You're watching him bringing soldiers home and these kind of things. How exactly do you say he's a racist?
There was an
How is he a
announcer
racist?
on MSNBC, I don't know what his name was, but he accused President Trump of buying them off to come to the speech, with buying her scholarship and telling the Tuskegee Airmen that, hey, come on, there'll be pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't if you're President Trump. All right, more to unpack from the State of the Union when we come back.
The Tuskegee Airmen guy, they wouldn't even stand for that.
No.
His son goes out.
We're going to get back into the State of the Union analysis, but first we would like to thank Books, our sponsor, just because she says, gentlemen, I don't want anything for Valentine's Day. Please, you don't need to get me anything. All right, fine, maybe she says that, but she still deserves something, okay? Not to worry, the Books company has you covered. That is Books, B-O-U-Q-S, as in bouquets of flowers. They have the most beautiful farm fresh flowers for next or same day delivery. I sent some to my mother and she sent me pictures. They were so pretty and they lasted forever. She kept sending me pictures of them. Look at my pretty flowers. They still look amazing. You can order today and get 25% off of your entire purchase. All you have to do is go to books.com/blaze. That is BOUQS.com/blaze for 25% off with the code BLAZE. And remember, there are other people that you can send flowers to for Valentine's Day. You can send it to your best friend, send it to, well, your best galentine, okay?
Jason.
Send it to Jason, maybe. Jason needs some love. Send it to your mother. Don't forget your mother for Valentine's Day, ladies and gentlemen. She was the first woman who ever loved you. You can go to books.com/blaze for 25% off. Don't be caught empty-handed on Valentine's Day. Go there now, books.com/blaze, offer code BLAZE. All right, back to the State of the Union. We're talking about how disrespectful the Democrats can be. How low can they go when we're talking about all of the amazing things, accomplishments that President Trump was talking about. There was a particular point in the speech that really grinded my gears, I guess you could say, when President Trump introduced a little toddler who was born prematurely at 21 weeks and now obviously is very healthy and, alive and stuff, and called for a ban on late-term abortion. And the response to that from the Democrats was just truly jaw-dropping, in my opinion. Watch.
In 2017, doctors at St. Luke's Hospital in Kansas City delivered one of the earliest premature babies ever to survive. Born at just 21 weeks and 6 days and weighing less than a pound, Ellie Schneider was a born fighter. Through the skill of her doctors and the prayers of her parents, little Ellie kept on winning the battle of life. Today, Ellie is a strong, healthy 2-year-old girl sitting with her amazing mother, Robin. In the gallery, Ellie and Robin, we are glad to have you with us tonight. That is why I'm also calling upon members of Congress here tonight to pass legislation finally banning the late-term abortion of babies.
We're so concerned.
It really was jarring to me for President, and you know what? Probably very smart and strategic on President Trump's part, because he's not saying, hey, guys, I just want you to know this is what the Democrats stand for and this is what they're against. But he presented it in a way that made them really own up to it themselves by sitting there when he's saying, this baby just survived at 21 weeks. How about we all agree that we should let these babies be delivered instead of killed at that age? He let them speak for themselves. They sat there. How is this anything but demonic? I cannot wrap my brain around it.
To me, it shows how extreme that party has become. I mean, as a pro-life conservative, I understand that there are people that are pro-choice. And when I have this discussion with them, it's always a discussion about where life begins. And I try to back people up to where life begins. I had always thought since the earliest time I started arguing pro-life issues that people agreed that really after 3 months that it was a human being there, and certainly as you're pushing 8 or 9 months, that there is a tiny little living baby in there. The fact that people even support the idea of killing them is extreme and barbaric. And they just showed how far left and extreme and barbaric that party is.
Yeah, Jason.
That was so amazing. You know me, I'm a radical pro-life conservative. Radical, if you can call it that. You know, thinking that life is precious and all is radical nowadays. But the way you
don't have to be radical to see that that was abhorrent. Right? Like I don't think you have to be a radical pro-life person to look at that and say it's despicable.
I thought a radical pro-choice person would even agree that at 8 months you can't.
But that's where I think that that's true still. I think that it's true. I think it's just the Democrats in Congress who have it wrong, and they think that this is their hill to die on. And I don't think the American public is in line with that.
Well, this is why I think it was so great. The bringing that child out there and showing that's one of their arguments. It's always been, whenever life is viable or whatever. What does that even mean? Science is constantly updating. So now you're saying, now life matters at this amount of months. Now it matters, at this amount of months. My hope is that example of showing that living, beautiful girl is that life matters all the way up until viability. That's not even a real argument. It's depending on whenever it'll be at some point they'll be able to save the baby or be able to have it delivered from the moment of conception.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just the way. That's just the direction science is going. So props to the people that I guess the speechwriter. I don't know.
I'm going to go fast. A couple of things I want to say about this real quick. Number one, people say, "Don't tell me what to do with my body. It's not your body. It's another body. It's another person. You're just a host." Number one. If you can't be moved emotionally, when you see a kid that was born at 21 weeks, and right after that you can't stand, you have fallen off the edge. Demonic is the right word. It's an attack on God. It's an attack on life, right? Because they want to control people ultimately. But I may think that the radical left is completely spiritually dead inside at this moment, right? Because they're not feeling anything.
They don't have religion.
It's hard to believe anything different. All right, back in a minute.
Here's the interesting thing. I couldn't get it in.
Don't forget, before we go into overtime, the big special you've all been waiting for. Ukraine, the final piece, the billion-dollar question. It is the final part of the Ukraine specials that Glenn Beck has been presenting. This guy over here sitting in front of me has been doing the bulk of the research for it. I don't think he slept in 6 months. I mean, trust me, it shows. I'm just saying. Just kidding. Just kidding. But Jason, it's huge.
Yeah.
Is it not?
There's multiple holy craps in this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, your mind is going to be blown by the end of it. It's insane.
I mean, you think that all of the previous chalkboards, you think that how can it get worse than this? Oh, it does. And it ties it all together tomorrow. It is 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. YouTube, BlazeTV. It's going to be behind the paywall. I'm sorry, in front of the paywall. We want everyone to watch it. Overtime starts next.